Okay, so I wasn't initially going to do a part 2 on this. I'm just going to get that disclaimer out of the way right now because I said in my original video what I wanted to say, and while some people didn't agree with it, I pointed out that the national dex cut didn't really matter all too much because because you can still transfer some of your favorites in, and it ultimately didn't matter. Bear in mind, things can always get worse. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, in case you aren't aware, Game Informer actually sat down with the developers at Game Freak to get exclusive interviews about the development behind Sword and Shield. And for the most part, it's just stuff about how they plan to make the games more balanced overall, and and what major changes they're going to be making to the series going forward. I'm not going to go over all of them now because they're not all important to this video. So I'll leave a link in the description for those of you who want to read them, but for the most part, they're not really going to be mentioned all that much in this video. But one particular interview stood out to me. So as a whole, the interviews were meant to kind of paper over some of the cracks regarding the controversy by pointing out how they plan to ease players into competitive a little bit easier, and how they plan to bake some of the features that were some of the items that were present in previous games into the main game, into the source code, like the experience share, which has been a staple forever, but now it's no longer an item. It's just baked into the game. So now all of your Pokemon will level evenly without the need of an item. So everybody is now on even footing, I guess. But anyway, one particular interview they did was establishing the lore behind Sword and Shield. So, according to the lore of the games, there are in fact 18 different gym leaders that all compete like something out of a sports circuit or cup or something like that. I don't know sports terminology. About how the gym leaders would compete to actually participate in one of two leagues. The ones who did best in the leagues who did best in the competitions would represent the major leagues, your standard 8 gym leaders, and the rest would be in a minor league that weren't actually required, but presumably you could go and do if you wanted to. And it's unclear about how they're actually going to implement these into the games. Maybe the sequel version will have even more version exclusive gym leaders, and they'll cover the numbers that way. I don't know, but the thing about this is that Game Freak weren't exactly clear that they were talking about lore. It would be cool if they had all 18 gyms in the game, but that's not what they're planning to do. However, a lot of fans, myself included, and especially Game Informer, assumed that meant that we were getting 18 gyms in the core series of the games, and that everybody would be challengeable regardless of what version you're in. But that's not exactly the case. They just established that there would be 18 different gym leaders, and that maybe they would be in the games as the main series gym leaders, and maybe you would have to challenge them post game. I don't know. Again, we don't know how it's going to work and how it's going to be represented in the games. But I think people just assumed that they were now promised 18 gyms in one game, which is unreasonably massive and is a bit too ambitious. And Game Freak and the Pokemon Company quickly realized this and made an addendum to that interview stating that that the core amount of gyms you need to actually clear the game will remain unchanged for the most part, which means we may have a new gym or two, but not 18 like we were expecting it to be, which makes sense. They can't program 18 individual gyms into one game and still have the games come out on time. And also good on Game Freak for coming out and actually clearing up that misunderstanding and stopping the misinformation from spreading any further. That's a sign of a good developer. They don't want to mislead people. Good on you, Game Freak. However, while I and a lot of others eventually realized what was going actually going on with the gym situation. Some people didn't take it all too well. So as I established, this is sort of a sequel to my Bring Back National Dex video, where I explained that it didn't really matter, and that they did get, and to be fair, they did get an official response, as I may or may not have said in the video, I don't remember, but they did get an official response, and Masuda's official response was basically, hey, how about you play the damn games instead of complaining about them? And fair enough. He pointed out that they plan to put a lot of features into this game, and people complaining about the National Dex just isn't fair to the game that they're making. So it was essentially, hey, play the damn games, shut up about the National Dex. It's not coming back, and also it's not coming back because it's just impossible to do at this point. So just stop complaining about it. So he was basically like, we're not putting them. So they also spelled it out again in the Game Informer interviews, link in the description again. But a lot of people still haven't gotten the message that the National Dex isn't coming back. I mean, it's mostly the minority at this point, and it was always a minority. So it's really just the minority of people who are now complaining. But now they have something new to complain about, which is that they were promised 18 gyms and are now getting 8. And they're upset about that. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Game Freak didn't do a very good job of explaining they were talking about lore. Then they cleared it up, but now people are pissed because they thought Game Freak was going to implement 18 gyms into the game, and now they're not. So thanks to that little misunderstanding, the Bring Back National Dex situation has gotten even worse, because now the Bring Back National Dex guys have something new to complain about, and it's even more substantial because the National Dex thing is a pretty substantial cut. So far as I know, there's like 500 Pokemon confirmed for Sword and Shield and counting. We don't know how many there are actually going to be in the game. It may only be like 100 to 200 people that are 200 Pokemon that aren't going to be in the games, but who knows? But now that, on top of the fact that they said that there were 18 gym leaders in the games, in the lore of Galar, and that we may not see all of them, that pissed a lot of people off, and I can understand that. But at the same time, we were never promised 18 gyms. They just said that there were 18 gym leaders that competed for the major and minor leagues. And again, there's very little we know about this game at this point, and the game comes out next month, so... And I'm not entirely sure if they're going to clarify any of that before the release of Sword and Shield next month. But we may have the major league, and then we may have the smaller minor league gym leaders sit in the backgrounds that we can either interact with, or they'll be challengeable in the sequel version. Again, we don't know. But now people are just pissed off because they think Game Freak promised them 18 gyms, and now they're getting next to none. So yeah, I can understand why people are upset. They basically cut the amount of gyms they thought they were promised in half, but they weren't promised any of that. They were promised at least 8 gyms and some version exclusive gym leaders, which is something that Game Freak has never done before, sort of. And are now changing up how the gyms actually work in Sword and Shield, and possibly for the rest of the core series as a whole going forward. Because if they're going to continue to use this trend where they have gym leaders that are basically split up across alternate timelines because one did better at the league to get into the major league than the other, and it's the timeline split where the opposite is true, then who knows? Maybe we'll have more gym leaders like B and Alistair who share a gym depending on what version you're in, like where B is in Sword and Alistair's in Shield. But the thing is, people just assume that they're gonna get more gyms, and that's just not the case. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this little update video. I guess I didn't mean to make one of these, but apparently I had to, because this kind of thing just kind of popped out of nowhere. So, and it kind of blew up. And what makes it worse is that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are actually doing a 24-hour live stream thing where they reveal reveal new-ish Pokemon and what Pokemon are in Galar and which one, as well as maybe some new Pokemon. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, and it comes out and it finishes up the morning that this video comes out. So I don't know. I'll probably piece that up on my own time, but yeah, to say they kind of screwed up their information a little bit is an understatement, because they did an interview that immediately psyched up their games and immediately slammed the door on it. A full day before they're trying to do this live stream thing that's supposed to hype up the games even more. So yeah, the hype kind of came and went very quickly. And while I am going to watch the live stream at some point after it airs, obviously, because my time's important. Yeah, it's clear Game Freak that Game Freak and Game Informer didn't really handle this all too well. I mean, Game Freak did immediately come back and say, yeah, that's not what the interview was. So it's clear they're trying to clean up the mess, but the damage is done now. So now people have something new to complain about. But anyway, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the whole gym situation now, because now people are upset about the gyms as well as the national decks, and these games are slowly going to become more and more hated as people start to spread even more information. So more misinformation, I should say. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the national decks. Again, didn't mean to make this video, but it happened. So anyway, yeah, if you guys do think that the gym situation is going to ruin Sword and Shield, I don't think it will. But if you do think that, then be sure to let me know in the comments, or let me know over on my Discord. I've been on there frequently lately because there are actual people on there now. But yeah, if you guys want to get in contact with me about the situation and let me know your opinions on it, then be sure to either leave a comment, let me know on my Discord, email me, however you want to get in contact with me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also check out my Patreon description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month and it really helps me out, so I definitely appreciate it if you did that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!